Good morning, family. Second video of the day. Merry Christmas to you all. And if you don't celebrate Christmas or sponsor the holiday in your heart, find a way to exemplify some joy, some gratitude, and love in the capacity that you're available today. We always think of, this New Year's resolution avenue, and I just want to center that around people and marijuana. I'm not going to do a supremely deep dive on marijuana, but most people, whether you've partaken, actively now or, in the past, a lot of people have. I'm not going to get into percentages, but many people, especially my age, kind of in your latter 20s, early 30s, millennials, weed is different. The aspect of marijuana has come to a point where it's almost like dangerous, but I think that's for a couple of reasons. The first reason I think is, I'll call it the societal window about weed, right? So there's this old episode of Family Guy. I think in it, Stewie is really old, evidently, but Stewie was saying that music determines the social patterns of America, and I interpret that to mean how people treat each other, right? So the sentiment that derives from the music, and some people go so far as to say the spell that the music casts represents how people will treat each other in society. And you can't help but to wonder, does that correlate with drill music and what has usurped the art form of hip-hop and become, I'll just say it, the whole mainstream face of black music is what they, deem it to be. And then it just, by chance, the marijuana that's dispensed, most of it has this almost tendency to make people violent, psychotic, irritable. And if you don't constantly consume it, again, like I said, you get irritable, you get agitated. So there's some compound in it that doesn't really respond to what marijuana is supposed to represent as a component of relaxation or brief euphoria. That's how I see it, right? So I actually want to encourage people going forward in the new year, if you do still partake, to discontinue it. And see, I come from that black intellectual camp of just, pretending that I could customize my brain and my perception of the world the way I wanted it to be, and I could still do me because, all this militant language. But when you slow that down, you realize, as a lot of people say, you might be trading one dogma for another. Or you may be trading, you're basically inserting another deficiency into your brain and the way you perceive the world. So with all that said, I used to come from that world of, I can, steam blunts all day. I can do my thing, and I can still sit up here, excuse me, and proclaim that I'm about knowledge and, the empowerment and strength and virility and history and scholarship and, all these kind of honored qualities. But then at the same time still attributing so much value to marijuana, So this is just more of a impetus to get you to discontinue it. And a lot of y'all have done the wise thing. You stop for a significant period of time. You've always understood, like I said, because at the end of the day, what are we really getting? Say brief euphoria. And if you're an artist of any sort, maybe a creative type, all kinds of personalities can correspond to marijuana based on the person using it. You know, some people prefer not to at all. And when I had first discontinued that, that was one of the things that kept me going in a mind space to continue to abstain and make good on that promise to myself. You know, you read like a random, what do they call them, forums or something, and a line may stick out to you. For example, that's true, guys. A lot of people do smoke weed, but what is also true, and then in all caps it said many people don't. So it's just like little things like that, and you remember, and slowly you start to just reprogram your mind, because that's really all it is. And again, if you've done the wise thing and, you know, taken breaks, filtered out your system, structured your life, applied focus where it's needed to, and stopped this whole blending, you know, trying to finesse every damn thing. Finesse, much like narcissist, much like, you know, twin flame. A lot of terms that once had a lot of weight have become super saturated because so many people are using them, you know. And you can watch any type of, you know, really fantasy show, anything having to do with like a council or some sort of, some people say cabal, but, you know, council of people, even Star Wars, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was always understood that sacred and secret almost kind of belong next to each other. In other words, if everybody knows something, the true essence of something, it would get diluted. And I think that science has been kind of obliterated by just, you know, everybody having these sensitive opinions and this and that and this and that. But nonetheless, and there's a lot of ways to stop smoking marijuana. It's really not that hard. It's more of a mental, like, tennis match you gotta play with yourself. But as the match goes on, you know what I'm saying, the crowd starts to dwindle. Then the sun starts to go down, and then you realize, damn, I'm not even, you know what I mean? It's not even something I need to win. All I need to do is continue to rally the ball back and forth. You know, you can transpose that example to any sport if you're choosing. You know, the point is, it's not really a battle. It's just a series of steps you got to take to get, you know, back to the battles that matter to you. Because ultimately, as my friend described it, you're doing that to escape some measure of your current life. You know, and people get, you know, real touchy, and you can't tell me how to do me, and this and me, and all this and that. But anybody who appreciates, I don't care if you're a musician, a video gamer, like people who are stereotyped to be weed heads, let's just be honest, you know, music producers, right, the band members, and whether they are or not, that's not what I'm saying. But if that happens to be you and you feel like your identity is inseparable for that, you can actually harness that energy and pour it into your craft. So for instance, if you play an instrument and you've told yourself and lied to yourself, you know, because weed is like the it's like the champion of comfort, you know. That's why weed is dangerous. It's not dangerous per se because of anything directly harmful, but the comfort that it can erect in your brain, which starts to cost you time and energy, and then everything else kind of derives from that. And pretty soon you'll look up and you'll be like, you know. But then, as my friend from New York said, your only fucking solution is to not struggle up here. So then what do you do to not struggle up here? You smoke out here. Now you're struggling up here because you got to get more. You understand? So it's this, it creates this incongruent lock and key between, you know, self-deception and your very tangible reality. You feel me? So that's why it's dangerous. But there are many ways to stop, and I'll end the video by sharing just a couple with you. The first most powerful for me, again, I can only speak from my perspective, you gotta get rid of any like paraphernalia that you have. If you're, I'm a nigga, so I gotta roll my shit. You gotta get rid of like anything that would spring your brain back to that. You know what I mean? Because it's not the physical flower that you're addicted to, it's the process that invites the comfort that you know is going to arrive. Feel me? It's a difference. It's not the actual flower, it's the comfort that you know is going to arrive through the flower. So every step in that process, from the food you're going to eat once you're induced, to the ride to maybe obtain such, to the doggone utensil or whatever you're going to use, tool to access that, I mean, that's just the science behind it, but you don't think about that because the comfort is more important. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and but reason number one, or method number one, I should say, all paraphernalia. Gotta get rid of it. Just throw it away. Even do it kind of slowly. Like, say you have maybe a water pipe. Like, hold a bag open, or disposal, whatever you got, and like really almost damn near take a snapshot of yourself with your brain, dropping it in a bag, and then do what you gotta do. And then, like, every time you get that urge, I don't care if you smell some gas, I don't care if some chick asks you to smoke, I don't care if the sun is out and you just wanna, whatever unique trigger to you that says, nah, man, shit, roll up, man, shit, might as well. That might as well bullshit that we always love to do. Once that starts to take over, just think of that moment where you disposed of. Feel me? That works better than you would think, even if it takes you a couple tries. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to unfold it one layer further, say, I'm saving money by getting rid of this. Simple stuff. Secondly, because it's getting a little longer than I intended, would be to practice eating when you're not under there. Like, intentionally try to eat not 10 meals a day. If you got it like that, that's beautiful, but 10 times a day. You understand? I'm talking like an orange, crackers, little things. This is more so for people who have built up super tolerance to the point where if you stop, then a cheeseburger might be kind of hard for you. People laugh at that shit, it's real. Or 5 chicken tenders from like a good place might be like, damn, eat all this shit right now. Retaining that appetite and practicing eating things that aren't like high in a lot of calories, that's gonna filter out all of this mess in your taste buds. Alright, so I'm gonna make a part 2 to this concerning the whole marijuana thing, and I just want to know what you guys also think about it. Like, is it, it's kind of a question and a statement, but is it a chemical phenomenon? Is it the music? Has it alchemized something in people, and then that combines with the weed, and then that unleashes this new, weird, hostile, yet chill, yet selfish energy? I mean, I would love to know what y'all's thoughts are about how this stuff is just affecting everything. I appreciate it.